over the last year, COVID-19 has shut down education systems worldwide, and it's cut off over 1.5 billion learners from the classroom. But what's been the impact of this crisis on the mental health of teachers and students around the world? Well, last year, our foundation, which works to improve the status of teachers worldwide, our foundation set up a Teacher Taskforce comprised of 22 teachers from 15 countries around the world to discuss what they think, what they're seeing on the ground and what they think can be done. And we're delighted to share our preliminary findings here with you today for the first time at the Learning Planet Festival. Now, we're joined by the chair of this task force, Dr. Saima Rana, who is the Chief Education Ambassador for our foundation, and she's also the CEO and principal of the very prestigious GEMS World Academy in Dubai. Dr. Rana is a school leader and education expert whose extensive experience includes work in areas with high deprivation. She's also a philanthropist and a founding trustee of the Chaners Foundation. Dr. Rana, hello.
Hi, Nicholas.
Dr. Rana, you've been chairing these discussions over the last few weeks. You've been hearing from teachers all around the world about the mental health impact of COVID-19. What have been their main concerns?
So, Nicholas, we've been, as you know, meeting as a task force for the last couple of weeks, starting last year. And, you know, the main concerns have been very much around isolation, social isolation, in terms of ensuring that not only themselves, but their students feel that they are connected to a community, because that sense of sort of belonging, being with their friends, being with their teachers, and being in a position whereby they are not socially distancing or wearing masks all the time isn't something that's not impacting on their mental, psychological and physical growth, if you like, as well as health. So social isolation has been something that's been an incredible sort of priority for the way in which we are wanting to sort of approach the sort of COVID reactions in schools. I think also there's been a real sort of a lack of I don't know if this would be the right way to say it, but one of the things that we've been discussing is sort of like a lack of incentive for teachers. You know, we are like other frontline workers every day through COVID. It's been going on for nearly one whole year, getting up, going into work every day. And, you know, is the appreciation there of what we are doing? It's a job like no other. It's a job that we are walking into every day and making sure that we are keeping ourselves safe, keeping our students safe, keeping the parent community safe, and keeping everything really working in order in terms of the curriculum content, because as you know, examinations are continuing. So this real sense of incentivized sort of rewards, as well as not monetary, but just appreciation, it very much feels that governments are not taking that necessarily into account. I think also one of the things that the task force has been able to discuss in some depth is this sort of sense of almost the erosion of hope that our networks will be able to sort of support us better. And I suppose I'm talking about governments and leadership in our schools, making sure that hope is instilled in everything we are doing, and to keep on going with the work that we are. I think, yeah, can I continue? Is that okay, Nicholas?
Yeah, no, please.
There's two more sort of major concerns that I wanted to discuss, I think. I think one of them is about the media and the advice that we are getting all around the world. We're getting sort of sometimes contradictory advice about how to continue to teach in schools, or should we be in lockdown and teaching remotely? Is there an issue in terms of the digital divide with some of our poorer communities? And then there are different layers of poorness, if you like, in our communities, those that have mobile phones or computers, and those that really just don't have anything. So that has been a huge concern. And then finally, I think one of the big issues in terms of mental health that we have picked up is lack of routine and guidelines, if you like, that we are receiving from governments or senior leaders in schools, in that there's a sense of almost drifting into a sense of hopelessness if we don't have the right structures and formations that are going to help with our mental health and well-being whilst teaching in schools.
Thanks so much, Simon. Those are all really, really fantastic points, and it's really interesting that these have come from classroom teachers. And obviously, what's been so interesting about this pandemic is learning for so many years has been a profoundly social process. It's been something that you do with other people, and that's been something which has been incredibly disrupted by this pandemic, and teachers are feeling incredibly isolated. What do you think they want done about it? So obviously there's a lot of problems. Have you seen any sort of clear paths to a solution from teachers, either from the classroom or from what they want for policymakers? I appreciate it's quite a difficult thing to solve.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really interesting question, Nicholas, because I think it is a difficult thing to solve, but who better than classroom teachers, a group of 22 classroom teachers from across the globe. Teachers are the best providers of solutions, I believe. So we've given this a really good amount of time to think through these solutions. And I think three key things come out, I think, from the task force. One of them is very much almost like a mental health task force toolkit, if you like. So when and during the pandemic, but also when we come out of this pandemic, because we do have hope that we will be coming out of this pandemic, there are things that we as teachers need to be able to do, and we need to be encouraged and supported to be able to do these things to support our children and the learning and protect the learning that we all love so much in our schools. So things like ensuring that there is the curriculum is fit for purpose, and by that we don't want to just see STEM subjects, but we want to see some great expressive art subjects. We want to see mental health and wellness. We want to see aspects of counselling provided in and around our curriculum in our schools, which unfortunately is not the case currently. So we really do want to encourage governments and policymakers to take this on board in terms of the real genuine curriculum. Is that allowing us to be resilient, confident, secure young individuals as students? So that's something we want people to look at. I think the other thing that we're wanting governments and policymakers to look at very carefully is the assessment regime and how that is affecting our mental health and wellness, but also the mental health and wellness of teachers who are having to continue teaching the specification and the syllabus when actually things are just not quite normal at the moment, and we need to be really taking that into account. And I think finally, one of the things that I think as a world, as a human race, we have realized and noticed is that education sits firmly in a relational space. And it is not one of those things that can be transformed with the use of technology, although technology has been something that has saved relationships in terms of education under this global pandemic. And that's a really interesting, nuanced point, I think. We are encouraging, and we want people to understand that education is about relationships, it's about feelings, it's about connections, it's about being together. And I go back to my first point about isolation. It's great to have these teaching opportunities over Zoom and Microsoft Teams, and it's fantastic that virtual reality has enabled the globe to keep connected under this global pandemic. But education is one of those things, like religion, like relationships, like love, like passion, that we want people to feel it and be around it, and it isn't something that can be transformed or replaced, if you like, with technology. A teacher is a teacher, and the words that a teacher executes whilst she's teaching and the passion she has for her subject is something that we have noticed is just so important for our educational establishment.
Thank you so much, Dr. I wish we had more time to unpack all of this because it's hugely important. And I think in particular what you're saying about what classroom teachers want, that tension between assessment and curriculum and the need just to get through the days is hugely important as well. But as you say, the solution lies, and we feel this very profoundly as a foundation, in classroom teachers, and they need all the support that they can get at the moment. I wish we could talk to you for a lot longer about all of these issues. I'm being told that we need to wrap up, unfortunately, but we look forward to putting out a full policy report later on in the year. Well, actually, probably over the next couple of months, and also this first aid toolkit, this mental health toolkit that Dr. Rana talked about. So thank you so much, everyone. And Dr. Rana, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure, Nicholas. Thank you.
Thank you very much.